Welcome to Gene and Mike do the New York Times crossword.
Hi, I'm Jean.
And I'm Mike. And today we are doing the crossword for Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. So, on a day that's about a month away from the start of Air Venture,
Ooh.
Did you do the crossword?
I did.
And did your spirit take flight because it was such a good crossword?
It was a good crossword.
Good.
No, I pretty much stayed on the ground.
All right. Well, that's probably a good idea when solving crosswords. It's always
you kind of need to be there.
Yeah, you need to be well grounded. Mm-hmm. I wonder if there are a lot of crossword solving injuries. Think like a cramp in the hand.
I don't know.
Failure to pay attention to the outside world because you become so engrossed in the crossword.
Exactly. Yeah. That could happen. That could definitely happen.
I'm surprised that the New York Times doesn't have some sort of warning. Do not solve this crossword while operating a motor vehicle.
Yeah. Or maybe...
Or an airplane.
Or maybe violence would ensue if you started talking about the puzzle and somebody hadn't finished it yet.
Oh, that's true.
That could cause injury.
Well, our listeners know that this podcast is one giant spoiler. So speaking of spoil, let's start with maybe the theme.
Okay. Well, it was an interesting theme, and I pretty much filled it in just. As soon as I knew what the theme was, I just was very easy to fill in the themed answers because they were essentially the same word twice.
Yep.
So 17 across was the first one, and it was a couple of places to secure boats or a logical contradiction. And the answer to that was docks. A couple of places to secure boats, docks. So I thought, okay. Well, then 26 across was a couple of sets of game cubes or heaven. And I just went with the first one, a couple of sets of game cubes, and that's dice, and dice was the answer. Mm-hmm. And then we had 48 across, a couple of fibs or incapacitate, and that was lies. And then finally 62 across, a couple of melees, or put into a new, simpler words without changing the meaning. And that was phrase, like a fray, F-R-A-Y, phrase. So those were the theme clues, and they were actually pretty easy to answer once you figured out the first part of the clue. You just wrote it in twice.
Yep.
So then you come to the revealer, which was 54 down, and that was law firm aids informally, or a hint to the theme clues. And the answer to that was paras, as in paralegals, but paras. And of course you had pairs of words in all of these, but the trick was for the second clue that was within that clue, because each one of the theme clues really had two clues, right? First one was a couple of places to secure boats, docks, or a logical contradiction. And that's where the para comes in, because if you put para in front of that second dock, you get paradox, which is a logical contradiction.
Right.
So you had docks, and paradox. You had dice, and paradise. And if you recall that one, the second one was heaven.
Right.
The second one for 48 across with the lies was incapacitate, and that was paralyze. Mm-hmm. And then finally, the last one was put into a new, simpler words without changing the meaning, and that was paraphrase. Phrase, or paraphrase. So very clever.
Yes.
Sort of taking the theme to a new level, especially like on a Tuesday where, the themes are always pretty much straightforward. But boy, that one went way above.
That was very cute, yes. And this was by Ingrid Stephenson and a debut.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Nicely done. Mm-hmm. And it had 5 debut answers. 1, 2, 3, 4 of them were, in fact, related to the theme.
Right.
And then we also had 3 down, surveillance systems installed by parents. That was nanny cams.
Nanny cams, yes.
Yeah, I went for baby monitor, or tried, but
Well, no, I don't think
didn't fit. Yeah. And again, every time I look at one of these themes, I'm like, oh, how did they, they just take a perfectly, sort of common phrase or a common idea, and then they just run with it.
Yes.
That's genius.
It was. It was.
Let's see, some other clues that were sort of interesting. 12 down was irritable, and it was testy.
Yes.
And I've just been seeing the word tetchy appearing in the news lately. Tetchy, which also sort of means irritable or, just sort of very sensitive to things.
Yes.
And so I went with tetchy, but of course it didn't fit, and I had to backtrack to testy, which is probably more common.
Right.
In that same area, we had 15 across cockamamie, and I thought it was going to be nutty or then nutso.
Oh,
but it was inane.
Inane, yes. And we had a similar clue like that for 19. Muff.
Yes.
Bungle.
Right. Yeah, I thought about muff, and I thought about this sort of cylinder of fur.
Yes.
That you put your hands into.
Yes.
And then I thought about earmuffs.
Oh,
yes.
But
but it was muff as in bungle.
Meaning air.
Boy, you don't really hear that. I mean, in common use, you muffed it.
No, you don't.
That's very rare. 22 across I thought was great. 1917, 1984, 2001, and others. So I thought it was going to be like, something about the novels, right? But it was years.
Or movies. I thought movies.
Oh.
Because wasn't there just a movie called 1917 about World War I? And then, of course, 1984 was based on the George Orwell novel.
Right.
And then 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Right.
Yeah, had something to do with films.
Well, I mean, 2001 was based on a book. 1984 was based on a book.
Yeah, they were all based.
The only one I didn't know of was 1917. But someone probably wrote a book called 1917.
Probably, but yeah, they were all based on something written. But it's just I thought that it was interesting. She picked those years probably to trip us up.
We had 23 down. Rugby pile was a scrum.
Right.
Which is also a system for developing software that I'm going to have to start teaching in the fall. So I'm like, oh dear.
Boy.
They're trying to remind me through the crossword that I got work to do.
And 33 down was kind of an unusual answer. What was it about?
Very cold.
Very cold. Gelid.
Yes.
Gelid. I don't ever use that word.
We've seen that word, though, before. It's appeared actually
it's been in the puzzle before,
92 times. It appeared a lot in the early years when, of course, it was colder.
Right.
Closer to the Ice Age, I believe.
Well, it's an old-timey word, though. Kind of like bungle, too. You don't hear bungle that much either. So
we had 39 down, I like blank, 1950s campaign slogan, Ike.
I like Ike.
And I was thinking about the fact that, that's like 75 years old.
Yeah.
And yet it's still great.
That is a great.
Yeah. Someone wrote, I like Ike. Sounds good. Let's run with it. And 75 years later, people will still be quoting me. 41 down, I was surprised by, and I was wondering if you knew this. Vary in music, and the answer was ASSAI.
No.
Yeah, I've never heard that word before.
Me either.
And I was surprised that wasn't a debut. It's appeared 60 times.
Oh, really?
First time in 1951, when it was clued as a Brazilian palm tree. In fact, a lot of times it's been palm tree. And then it became very at some point, and they seem to have, they've stuck with very.
Very in music. Like much, very meaning like very, very something.
Yeah, like another clue was allegro blank, allegro assai, very quick in music. So I guess if allegro means quick, then assai means very quick.
Right.
But yeah, I'd never seen that. I've never seen it in a manuscript or a score, rather.
No, me either.
49 down I was worried about because I was starting off with 2 L's, and I'm like, this doesn't look good. But it was London-based insurance giant, or Lloyd's.
Yes, Lloyd's of London.
And that worked well. 51 down. T.S. Eliot's and the IRS's cruelest month, April.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. And then 60 down, Verve was Elan. I just have to work that into casual conversation, but never get the chance. And then 63 down, word said in passing, yay.
Yay, yes.
That was cute. And I'd like to give a yay to this crossword because it was so good.
Yes, very good.
Gained by Ingrid Stephenson, I think worth 5 squares on the Jam CR scale.
I would concur.
All right, we are unanimous in this.
Okay.
Well, that's the end of the crossword, but it is Tuesday.
It is.
Which means it's time for Triplet Tuesday. And Triplet Tuesday, as most listeners probably know by now, is when one of us reads 3 clues to the other. The answer to all 3 clues is one 3-letter answer, and the object is to guess that answer in as few clues as possible. We do it 3 times, hence the name Triplet Tuesday. I will be posing the questions today. Listeners are encouraged to hit pause and see if they can figure out the answer before Gene. And then tell us how you did. Crosswordpodcast at iCloud.com. All right, ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Here is your first clue, yacht appendage.
Yacht appendage.
Correct.
Do I know this? Is this a common word?
It's 3 letters. I'll say that.
Yacht appendage.
Yep.
Bottle.
Nope.
Oh.
Ray extension.
Ray extension. Ray extension. Ray spelled R-A-Y.
Correct.
Ray-Ban.
No. One of a snorkeler's pair.
A snorkeler's pair. Tanks.
Not a scuba diver. Not a scuba diver, just a snorkeler. So no tanks.
Oh. Snorkeler's pair.
Yep.
I've never done snorkeling, so I don't think this is something I know. Snorkeler's pair. Trunks. I give up. I really don't know.
Your fourth clue, end of a French film.
End of a French film. It's always something like it's supposed to be at the end, like extension or, end of a French film.
Mais oui.
Credits. I don't know.
I'm sorry, the answer is fin.
Fin.
One of a snorkeler's pair.
Oh, a fin.
Right, and fin is the end, is how you say, is the end of a French film.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Really?
Well, no.
Oh, shoot. All right.
I am not a French speaker.
Well,
No, but-
don't despair. There are two more to go.
Okay.
Vertex.
Vertex?
Yes.
Vertex?
Yes.
Vertex. I'm not even really sure what that is. So I'll pass on that.
Eclipse.
Eclipse.
Yes.
Eclipse. 3 letters. Eclipse. Oh man, boy, these are tough.
Sorry.
Eclipse. 3 letters. I don't know.
Bunk bed option.
Oh, top.
Right.
Okay.
The vertex is the top.
Oh, okay.
And eclipse is when you top something.
Oh, that kind of eclipse.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. You got top. Last set here.
Okay.
Have markers out.
have markers out. Spy.
No. What unsettled people do.
Sue.
No.
Oh.
Be in debt.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you owe. So have markers out is when you owe something.
Oh.
And if you haven't settled up, you owe.
Oh.
And then be in debt is owe.
Okay.
Well, I tried to crank up the difficulty a little bit because, as I recall, you got like all three of them pretty much on one last time.
No, one or two.
One or two. So
Well, you did well in that.
Well, the only one I feel badly about is Finn, because I just thought fins, but
Sorry.
that's okay. No, no worries. All right. Well, listeners, let us know how you did. Crosswordpodcast at iCloud.com, again, is the way to get a hold of us. And we will be back again with our cutting edge analysis of tomorrow's crossword tomorrow.
Bye-bye.